All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. If someone in the chat could just mention that you can hear myself and Laura's with me here as well. Perhaps just type in the chat that you can hear us, just so we're sure. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. So my name is Michael Dimitrov. I'm the manager of recruitment and first year advising at Holland College. And with us is Laura, and she's also one of our advisors in the recruitment department. Laura put a little note there in the chat just to kind of describe the session and what we're going to talk about today. We'll just give a few more minutes here before we fully get into things as people are still coming in. It's only been a minute or so, so if you just bear with us for maybe 2 more minutes, and we'll just let these people come in and we'll admit them into the lobby here and we'll get started.
I just updated it, Michael, so everybody should be getting into the meeting. We shouldn't have to admit anybody. So we won't get those pop-ups anymore.
I'm still muted. Thank you. You're very, very good at that. So yeah, we're going to go through things here generally about coming to the college as first year students or returning students. And any questions obviously can go in the chat. Feel free to put them in there, and we're going to try to get through them all. We may not get them all, but we'll do our best. Afterwards, if we haven't answered your question, either we missed it or we couldn't answer it right away, the recruitment at Holland College email, you've all kind of been aware of that one, or your advisor, right? You've all kind of been in contact with an advisor at the college. Some of you, it may be Laura, depending on the program that you came to. But there's 5 other advisors that would have been reaching out to every program. And if you haven't heard from an advisor, because maybe you were recently accepted, or for whatever reason your email wasn't working for us, feel free to email the recruitment@hollandcollege.com email that Laura's put in the chat to ask any questions. So first of all, this is kind of the first lead off to almost 5 weeks of sessions, virtual sessions, which is part of we're calling it the summer series virtual sessions. I'm going to put a link into all the other ones that are coming up. So that link leads you to our webpage where you'll see on August 3rd, 2 weeks from now, there'll be another session starting up again, and for 4 weeks straight. You're going to hear from counseling services, our health clinic and student union, our Office of Retention and Part-Time Studies, Career Services, Academic Support Services, and one that's not on there that we just added today is our library services. So each one of those events are meant for you to come in and learn specifically about that area. Generally, the recruitment department and advising department, like ourselves, we can generally speak about each of these departments kind of on an overview level, but each of these people that are going to present are going to talk deeply about how you access their information, how you take advantage of what their services are, and their services are all free, which is great. And we want to make sure you know what's available to you, both if it's your first time coming here or your first time coming into Canada, perhaps, so you can get that information. Like I said, add any questions into the chat at any time, and we'll start going through them. For most of you, the large bulk of you, you're first year students. There are some returning students, but you've already gone through the registration process. The key thing to be doing right now is completing that registration for your classes, which advisors I think will reach out to you again this week, just kind of as a reminder. But that is open. So remember, you can go and start the registration process. So feel free to do that. Everyone can hear me, I think, now. I believe I see Marissa had a question there, but do that now. And if you haven't done it for whatever reason, you're finding it complicated, you're missing a document that we need before, you can always touch base with your advisor that's reached out to you. So for example, Laura, what programs do you have just by, just trying
I've
off the top
got
of my head here?
administrative assistant, fundamental arts, graphic design, journalism and communications, music performance,
So
wildlife
she has,
conservation technology. Yeah.
she has quite a few. So we have 60+ programs, right? So each advisor has kind of a appropriate number of programs based on the number of students. So reach out to them. But recruitment at Holland College always can be can kind of be the way to answer a general question. I think someone has their hand up. Just go ahead and type that into the chat if you have a question. The voice isn't going to work. It's all muted for everyone just to make things clearer. So please type your question in the chat. So Lauren McNeil has a great question about Hall passes. So the Hall Pass is your Holland College ID. It's also used as a method of payment at the college if you want to. You can load money onto it, which gets you discounts using it on the college campus, like at the cafeteria, the bookstore. You will get that during the first week of class. So what happens is they set up a room here on campus, and at each campus, depending on which one you're at, the largest one here in Charlottetown, where you'll go in and you'll sit down, take your picture. There also will be a online way of getting it. You'll get that information the weeks leading up to school. You can upload your picture, and then the pass will be ready for you when you get here. So yeah, during the first week of classes when you'll have access to that Hall Pass.
Janae, I see your question. Yeah, I'm actually the advisor for the architectural technology program. If you just want to send me an email directly, Janae, I can look into it. I'm going to type my direct email here in the chat. It's just my first name, super easy, Laura@hollandcollege.com. I know sometimes, like, the way the schedule looks on Web Advisor, it's like a mess to look at. It can be a little confusing and a little overwhelming. And I know some classes look like they don't last for the entire semester because some classes are certain hours. So for example, you could have a class that's 45 hours over the course of a few months. But then you could have a class that might be 30 hours. So you will be done of some classes before others. I'm sure everything is going to look okay if you're all registered, but yeah, like I said, just send me that email directly and I can take a look into that and just make sure you're set up for September, okay? Voices are breaking.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just for that particular student. We're all wired in, so it should be pretty good.
Yeah.
So let's see, we have a couple more here. How do I start registering for my classes? So if you're an accepted student, which you should be based on this group of students that we shared it with, you should have received information from your advisor. So depending on your program, each advisor reaches out to their students. If you have not, please email our recruitment@hollandcollege.com email. And all those advisors have access to that email, and they will get back to you to make sure that you're connected to the correct advisor and they can walk you through the process. It's not super complicated as long as you have all your documents in that are required. But like I said, it's not a complicated one. January registration, depending on the program, you will be advised when it is open. So if you haven't been yet, it is too early. It just depends on the program and if all your documents are in. If for some students it is open, if they have all the required documents in. So just keep an eye for that if you haven't heard from anyone yet.
Is registration open for second-year students coming back in January?
Coming back in January? No, it's not open yet.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're just kind of their semester's kind of finishing, so you will get a note when that opens. It is open for second-year students starting in September, right, in the fall season, so it is.
Yeah, so that will answer your question, Joanne. So I'd say probably in a few more months you should be able to register.
Maybe not even, like, you know, their marks are in and they're kind of getting through here, but I would say the end of August at the latest, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Great question here. Nancy's asking about first year student, business administration, scholarships. So it's funny enough, I was chatting with Amanda, who kind of takes care of our scholarships and awards. So there is it will only open at the end of September, and it's enrolled awards. So those are awards for students who are currently enrolled. And obviously no one's enrolled right now. We don't really have a summer session. There's a few courses happening. So Amanda's actually going to do a session later in September, one of these virtual sessions, and probably some in-person ones on campus too, to let students know on how to do it. It's super simple online site that it automatically enrolls you in the ones that you're eligible for, which is great. You just kind of fill out some information. So that won't happen until later in September they're called enrolled awards. So Nancy, keep an eye for that as a student when you start your classes. You'll have a kind of a timeline. They close on November 1st. So there's kind of a period there, a month and a half or so between the end of September and the end of October, November 1st, when they close, that you can apply for them. It's all done online. It's very straightforward.
And I don't know if you've seen this, Michael, but just to add to that, I did put the link to the student awards page on our website. So there might be a bit more information there. And I know there's an email there. So if you did have like further questions about them, the email is just awards@hollandcollege.com. So if you need some more information, it should be found on that link.
Yeah, and that'll go right to Amanda, which is great. She works here in our office on the first floor of Montgomery Hall, where you'll find a lot of people that can answer a lot of questions. And we all work together on a daily basis. So we're quite in tune with what's going on in the other departments. So we got one here. I was asking a similar question. Oh yeah, so he's just talking about confusing courses with the PCP. So you can chat with Shannon. She would be the person taking care of it. But once again, the schedule looks funny, right? It's just the way it looks on your web advisor. What I suggest is you can just kind of take that page, either print it off if you want, but then plop it into an actual calendar, and it might make a little more sense for you in terms of when classes are happening. We're actually in the middle of working on kind of a new method to see how your classes are looking in a calendar form. It's just not in place yet, but it does look a little confusing when you first look at it. But taking the time to put it into maybe your Outlook calendar or a physical paper calendar, just to kind of get a nice layout and see what your schedule looks like, may be beneficial prior to the start of classes.
There's a question here about mental health support. I think Michael might have mentioned it briefly, but we do have a full team of counselors here on staff, and they're a totally free resource to students across all Holland College campuses, and they spend their time at each campus as well. So there is multiple Holland College locations on PEI, so they do spend their time at each campus. I think it's important as well to just briefly bring up the service Asperia that they offer as well. That's a 24/7 service, so you could call anytime, any day. It's just a toll-free number, and you'd be able to chat with somebody through that service. So that's something that Holland College provides to the students as well. So yeah, I feel like it's just kind of important to bring that up as well.
And you'll see when you get here, and obviously you're probably getting information now. One of the sessions that are happening will be around mental health support and the advisors that we have here on site. So I suggest that you attend that session when it comes up. It's going to be, I had the date here. Of course, I don't have it now. It's in a couple weeks, but it's a virtual session. They're going to explain how you access them, how you book the counselors. So I think it'd be a great one to go and see. That's why each one of these are really important, to just kind of make sure you know how to, not only that it's there. It's one thing for our services to be there, but it's even better for you to know how to access them early when you need them and not wait too long, right? So Sean was asking about deferring classes. So at the college, we do not defer classes, only because we don't have that kind of rolling admission process for each semester. So for example, our business administration program, which he's talking about, it has a January start. It has a September start. There's no January intake for that program. So if someone were not to be able to make it for class as stated in their acceptance letter for September, you would have to reapply for the following September intake. But I always do suggest, before just canceling, reach out to your advisor, which for business, Sheldon should be the one that you've heard communications from. Email him, just either tell them that, you didn't get your study permit, so that the proper process can be followed, and you can either apply for the next intake, depending on the scenario, right? It's different for every student. It depends on the scenario, but obviously you're waiting for your study permit to come through, which is understandable. I think there's a lot of students in that situation right now.
Sabrina, if you keep getting a reminder, I wonder if it's from an actual advisor or if does Web Advisor send reminders? I don't think they
Web
do.
Advisor doesn't. I'm wondering if the reminder has to do with an outstanding document, perhaps?
Maybe.
And Sabrina, if that's the case, that's going to happen until that document is uploaded. So your dashboard where you applied online could be reminding you that you have a document. So perhaps there's a mark we're waiting for, but we did let you register. Just a reminder that you should get that done, right? So.
Because I believe I did send a reminder to all of my students today, actually, about registration. So you could have registered 2 months ago, but you might have received an email from me today.
Sometimes it's easier to get everyone again, just so we make sure we don't miss anyone, because you don't want to miss some students, right? So that's kind of the key part. So I see Lauren was also asking about kind of a minimum passing grade. Each program is different. There is kind of a minimum overall, but certain programs do have a higher minimum for some of their classes. For example, like a practical nursing or a occupational therapy assistant program. Some of their programs may require a 70% or higher, just because of the level of importance that's put on certain areas of that program, because you are dealing with the health of someone and medical procedures or whatever it might be. So you will be informed of that by your instructors when you do get here. It's sometimes by class, right? Not just by program. So that's kind of a rolling number in a sense.
Register for a scholarship after receiving my admission. So if you are an accepted student, they will be doing enrolled awards. I believe you might have just talked about that not too long ago, Michael.
And
they open
you put that
September
link up as
20th.
well. I think that's the date. Yeah, it's late September.
If you do scroll up a tiny bit in the chat, I did include a link to the student awards page, and that has like the for sure dates. They'll take you to the application form that you need to fill out to be eligible for awards. And then there is also a contact email there if you do have further questions about them too. So everything about awards can be found in that student awards link, just a few messages up.
And the next question there was just talking about someone waiting for a visa or study permit approval, but they've registered. So obviously you've proven that you've applied probably for your study permit. If you have every other document uploaded, you're just waiting for that process to happen. So you just can't attend classes without your study permit approval, right? So just remember that, but just make sure that you have all the other required documents for your program. Other than that, you're waiting for your study permit approval, and just keep us up to date as much as you can. It's beneficial for both you and us to know where you're at in terms of that process.
Somebody has a question here about the medical insurance and extending that to your daughter and partner.
Mm-hmm.
The Holland College Student Union, they have all dealings with the student health insurance. So they are going to be the best people to contact. I will provide their email address here in the chat. It's just studentunion@hollandcollege.com. But yeah, any and all questions regarding the health insurance, if you are going on to our student plan, would be dealt through the student union. So their email address is there in the chat.
They are taking on a session with our health clinic because they kind of are tied together because of the student union that sponsors your health services while you're here. So August 17th, they'll be talking about that. And there always is a additional family plan you can add. The fee depends on how many people, all those things. You do have to go through student union to request a family health plan. So that email will help. Also, the session on August 17th at 3:30. That will also be extremely beneficial to find out what you do to go about that.
Just on a quick note, I just might add about opting out too, because if you've been receiving registration emails, there should be a little blurb in there. Let's say if you're still on your parents' insurance or something like that, or if you have your own private health insurance, you don't have to go on the student plan. So you can opt out for that. You do have to provide proof. But any email that you would have received from your advisor about registration, there would have been a link in there where you can opt out. I don't believe you can opt out until sometime in August. But there is probably about a 5 to 6 week period where you can follow that link to opt out. So that is an option for students as well.
And you'll receive lots of info about that leading up to that opt-out date, right? Someone to talk about tuition and do I have to request payment option, paying percentage September. So online, as you would know, on your program's page, there it does outline how much the cost is per year and then when the installments are due. Those are the installment options. There's first installment due amount, and it's usually a little bit more because your fees are in the first semester, and then a second installment due date. So one is the first day of classes, the first, and the second installment, which is usually a smaller amount, is on the first day of your second semester classes, so the start of January. That is the option for making those payments. So you can find that by going to your program page on the website, because it is different for each program, so I don't want to say an amount. It's just kind of generalizing it. It'll say how much is the first installment due date based on if you're a Canadian student or an international student, and how much the second installment is. Someone's asking just about. I think I'm up here. I got one here with restaurant information, like on campus. So there is like in terms of the campus here in Charlottetown, the Prince of Wales campus, there is a cafeteria here on site. So that's open. There's some breakfast and some lunch there. But we're pretty much downtown, within a 5-10 at the most. You're hitting a lot of restaurants. So there are some options. There's some fast food services within 5-minute walk. If you take a look at the map, we are in a downtown core. So there's a lot of close options, but there is the cafeteria on site. If you're looking at the Summerside campus, which is our next biggest campus, there is a cafeteria there, and same thing, within very short walking distance, you would have quite a few options in terms of restaurants or fast food, things. So that is there. Someone just a late acceptance, and they're international student. So obviously their study permit's going to be a little later. We understand that some students may have received an acceptance a little later. Just keep us informed about where you're at with the process if you've heard anything back. So keep in contact with your advisor as much as possible. You can't start the program late. So if you don't have it prior to the start date, you need to let us know so we can kind of cancel your seat, because there is a lot of information that happens in a short period at the start of each program that missing that information can be detrimental to the rest of your program, and you could fall too far behind where it's actually going to hurt the rest of your classes. So it's a little bit of a domino effect, but you just keep us informed on where you are with that.
Somebody's wondering if being vaccinated is mandatory. As of June.
Yeah.
It's technically no longer mandatory, but would be strongly encouraged. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously traveling here is not going to be a problem anymore right now. I mean, you do have to prove vaccination, so things are getting loosened, but anything can change. We don't want to say one way or the other. If something were to go south, which we've had those things happen a little bit, we'll inform you as soon as anything were to change, but you'll receive that information via email, social media, all those methods if anything changes.
Question here about registration process and the study permit. So you don't have to have your physical study permit uploaded to your application in order for you to register. You could simply just upload proof that your study permit has been submitted. So whether that's simply just a screenshot, you can upload that to your application. And if that was the last document, you should be able to get registered. So if you haven't uploaded proof of your application yet, do that as soon as possible. And yeah, like I said, that should allow you to register for your courses.
Yeah. But if you're missing something else on your you have to have all the other documents as well. So you can't, it's not just we're waiting for that. Other students, you have to have, proof of your grade 12 or a certain mark. You have to have all those uploaded and approved by our admissions department.
Yeah, so you might have uploaded a document, but it might not have gotten approved by admissions. Yeah. So make sure all of your documents are marked as received. If anything is marked as not received, but you uploaded something, that means that admissions might have left a note for you to re-upload a document.
Yep. I kind of noted this one on the study permit question, similar to the one I just answered. So someone just looking for apartments close to, they're in culinary. So I don't know if you want to share a couple of links there, Laura.
Yeah, I can.
So obviously, Riley, I assuming you already applied for residence. So if you did, you're probably on a wait list. Our residence, has a long wait list this year. We can share a couple of links. Like, well, we do have a couple of people that list with us in terms of off-campus housing options. We do advise to go to kind of Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji. There's a lot of people who post their apartments there. Keep on those. Most people are finding their accommodations, so I'm not sure if you're kind of questioning the location maybe of some that you're seeing, reach out to us. We can at least give you an idea if we feel like that's a great location or it's too far or if it's on a bus route or those kinds of questions, because maybe that's what you're being a little apprehensive on some of the places that you found. We can be a kind of a source to kind of say, no, that's, I know that building, it's really close, or you're close to a bus route, so we can help guide you through that. And I think Laura shared a link there that can help you out maybe to find some other options.
Yeah, I sent the link there for our off-campus accommodations page. So like Michael mentioned, that has the links to Kijiji. There's like just some private apartment companies like Killam, Bevan Brothers. So that should be at least a starting point for you to kind of get ahead of the game and maybe do some searching there.
Yeah, I see someone else talking about kind of the study permit process, and I mentioned earlier, like you need to be here on time. There's a lot of things that you can miss, so keep us informed if you still don't hear prior to the first day of classes. We need to know that you're not going to be here, and obviously, students with study permits are likely traveling from a long distance, so you could probably let us know closer than just a day or two in advance, because those things are you need to plan for travel. So. When registering for Holl Pass website, ask me for some address in advance of the process. I haven't arrived yet, which I do in this case. You can put your current address for that part. So if you're fully registered and you're already going through the whole Holl Pass process, put your current address. You could just change it when you get here. They just need an address attached to you if you don't have your current one here. Or you can wait till you get here. You don't need your Holl Pass day one. Doors are unlocked in those days. Access to buildings are available in that kind of time frame while students get their Holl Pass. So there is time. So don't worry. You can give it to them when you arrive, and that's fine also.
Daniel had a question here, just kind of about the general daily schedule. We typically tell all students like to expect to be in class Monday to Friday, 9 to 3, 9 to 4. It will vary, of course, a little bit depending on the program that you are in. Like I know culinary arts, for example, like when you're on the breakfast rotation, you could be going in for class at 6 or 7 in the morning. But the general consensus for most programs is, like I said, Monday to Friday, 9 to 3. That can, of course, vary even from day to day or just depending on the class. Some days you might finish up a little earlier, start a little later. But that's kind of the general consensus for all programs, or most programs, is Monday to Friday, 9 to 3, 9 to 4.
Yep. Lloyd was asking, he has like a general range on his acceptance letter for tuition. If you want the exact for your study permit application, go to your program page, and it'll give you the exact amount, and you can either copy that link and send that with them, or screenshot that page. And those kind of looking over your study permit can go confirm that by just checking our website for that program to see the exact amount. And that's what most students do, and then that works fine for your study permit application. So don't worry about that. Holl Pass, I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can touch it. It's not needed until you get here. And you'll get information from the Holl Pass office once they're ready for you to kind of start sending information in advance so it can be ready for you. But also there'll be a kind of a booth set up here where you can go in on that first week of class and get it done in person if you'd like. So there's a couple options there, but you don't need it until you get here. There's some leeway for you to get that. Sabrina, orientation, that's a great question. I'll share a link here that kind of highlights what so far has been planned for orientation. And you can see what's going on. And also a lot of it is online, so you can get a lot of the information in advance, links, a lot of things we're talking about today. You can find that online. There will be some activities going on. Obviously, this is the first time we'll be able to do that in a few years, so it's going to be nice. Like Laura's been an advisor with us for
Year and a
how long?
half
Yeah, so,
ish.
but she hasn't really seen an orientation yet because we've kind of been, limited to the number of people. But this year we're hoping, and based on how everything's going, it should be fine. So you can see that link I shared, and you'll be able to see what's going on in orientation. And that page will change. So as new things get added or things change, if travel advisories change, whatever it might be, it will be on this page, right? Orientation, where are we here? Andrew.
Direct safety course are paying first installment of tuition. They can, is that right? Can they?
It's I don't know if it's active yet. It might be there. If you are on your SAM and you found it and it's allowing you to start it, you can go ahead. But I don't believe it's fully active yet because the faculty aren't in during the summer months, so they're not even there to manage the course. So I think you should wait till you get closer to that first day of classes, in my opinion, just so it doesn't mess anything up. Tuition, mentioned that earlier. It does say on your program page, because each program has a different fee, right? Exactly how much is due on that first day of class. So September 6th, there's an amount due. And it says on your program page under the tuition and fees. And then the second installment, which is usually a lot less, the first installment is more because there are some extra fees on there, your student union fee, your health fee, insurance. Those are upfront fees you have to pay. So that is shown on your web on the web page on your program page.
Lauren asked how many classes you take per semester. That will vary, Lauren, depending on what program you're in. The program maps vary for every program that we have. So some students, may take 4 to 5 courses a semester. Some might be taking 6 or 7 courses. So it is going to depend on the program that you're in. If you have not received a program map, you can email recruitment@hollandcollege.com. The email address is just at the top of the chat. Just tell us the program that you're in, and one of the advisors can send you a program map, and that will kind of give you a layout of kind of your course load over the year or two that you're going to be with us.
Some great questions, by the way. I really appreciate these. Are questions that we want to have these students answer and everyone hear them. So these are really good and informative questions.
Yeah.
So next one is books, and that's a great question. Some students want to get started early, buy those books, perhaps discounted, because they can find a used one that's still the same for this year. I'm going to share another link. It is part of that orientation link that I sent you, but it's a link that within that orientation page has all the programs information. So on there, each program has a hyperlink, and you'll be able to see a book list perhaps, or a general welcome letter with books that are required. So any program that wants to provide that to you in advance of the first day of class will, and you'll see them there. Some may be available at the bookstore here on campus already if they've come in. Some may not, but the bookstore on each of your campuses will have those books. Or they're going to be pre-purchased for you, and you can pick them up there and buy them from that location. Each program is different. Some programs have included the book cost into the tuition, and they'll be sitting there waiting for you in a pile when you get there. Some you go and get them yourself. For those types of programs, I would always kind of touch base maybe with the instructor when you start your first day of class. Say, hey, is any second year students looking to sell their first year books? If they're the same as last year, you can get them for half price, maybe more, depending on the student you find. I was a student at the college, and I remember buying some books secondhand, and it saves you a lot of money sometimes because a new off-the-shelf book can be a little pricey. But one that was only used for a year with no issues can be half or even more discounted. So take a look at that link, find your program. If there is no link, there's a reason. They're either updating their list or they're updating their information, and they'll tell you once you get here, and you can purchase them upon arrival.
Somebody's just asking about their schedule. We kind of touched briefly on that a bit ago. I know that the schedule you probably see on Web Advisor, if you've registered for your courses, looks a little scary and confusing. it really is kind of the only schedule we can provide at this time. Am I right in saying that, Michael?
Yeah. Yep.
There really isn't kind of a cleaner or neater version of it, unfortunately. But I always tell students, like on your first day of classes on September the 6th, your instructors are going to give you a schedule that's much easier to follow. So really all you need to know at this time is to show up for September the 6th, and your instructors will kind of take it away from there and get you an easier to follow schedule.
Yep. And the next one right after was saying that some of them say to be determined on their schedule. And that's because they're still confirming the times. Perhaps a faculty member is retired and a new faculty member is coming in. They're trying to confirm the hours of the class. So you'll see that change as it's updated. So keep an eye on the schedule. Someone was just asking if marketing is considered a in-person course. All of our programs are in person, unless stated an online course. There's only a few of those. Marketing is an in-person. You do have to be here. There's not a combined online in-person. All of our programs do have a hands-on component, so you're expected to be here in person once those classes start. Will the class schedule change? Unlikely, unless something happened in terms of a class space, but you'll be informed and not to worry. The instructor will let you know. But right now it's unlikely that will change. They've already pre-planned the whole year in terms of location, times, so that it fits in the schedule.
Are most scholarships and bursaries applied in second semester? Or some applied?
Yeah, some are applied early, but most you will see them coming in the next once you start your classes, and especially those enrolled awards. Those won't be on until second semester. The ones that haven't even been approved yet. So, but awards at hollandcollege.com. If you have a question about an award you were awarded, Amanda's there. She can answer those questions for you.
That was touched on a little earlier as well, completing the occupational health and safety course. It can really be done at any time if it's on your SAM, but kind of holding off maybe until the end of August, early September, shortly before the program does start, might be best.
Yeah. The fitness fee that's applied to each student, that's for the college gym, so not any other facilities, but the college does have a facility here on the Prince of Wales campus, and there is one on the Summerside campus as well. So that is for our facilities only, not just any gymnasium on the island. Just take a look in terms of Daniel asking about recommendations on housing in the Summerside area. Other than the ones on the website, we would recommend going to the online versions like the Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, and to be honest, from my experience dealing with students, Summerside does usually have a little bit more opportunities. So keep an eye on there and search out any issues. Reach out to your advisors, see if they can help you out finding anything.
Just to add to that briefly, what you could do, Daniel, as well, is just even do a Google search of hotels in Summerside, because some hotels do long-term rentals for students during the school year. So if you haven't looked into that option, reaching out to a few hotels in the Summerside area may be beneficial or a good idea for you too.
Okay, just a note there. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, someone's just answering our question, so I appreciate that. Course addition, taking summer classes, if I could pass them, does this. Oh, so like you're taking a summer option. I see Nancy here is taking one of our summer courses that relates to her program, which we kind of did promote that. There wasn't many, it's only for specific programs. Yeah, you won't have to register for the one that's happening in person. It'll be a transfer credit for that. So once you've passed it, that'll be taken care of. So I hope you do well in the program and you can take a little off your plate come this fall or the other second semester. So that's great. So just like looks like you're having a problem with the fees page for project management. And maybe some of you have noticed, but we've just changed our program pages within the past week. And I believe they're still updating a few. So if that's the case, just keep you can always just go to the web page instead. Don't have to go to the link that was sent to you. Perhaps the link changed because of the update on the program page. just go via the Holland College page, explore programs, and you can see go to the program page. I'm just going to pop in there quick to see if I can get into that, and you can answer the next one. And I'll see if I can find that for project management.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. That's a note. Somebody having a conversation. Is there any other intake for welding fabrication? If any case my study permit gets delayed. For the 2-year program, yeah, there isn't any other intake, unfortunately. Really for almost every program that we have at Holland College, there is only one intake every year, and that is in September. So unfortunately, if your study permit did not get here in time for this September, your next available option would be applying for September 2023. Applications typically, I think they open September the 1st for that intake, which is really not far away. So if your study permit doesn't get there on time, unfortunately, like I said, you'd have to look into applying for next September.
Someone's just asking about the bus route. I don't know if you have the link right handy there, Laura, for the bus route in Charlottetown. Maybe just throw it on. We'll get it on there for you. There is a bus stop right here on this campus, and there's one close to our other campus in Charlottetown, the Tourism and Culinary Center. You can see the route. There's student rates, so you can buy monthly passes instead of paying per time. And it does stop right here on campus. There's a couple of stops. We did mention options there for accommodations earlier in terms of where to find some. I wonder if I find out about tuition costs. Online learner here. Like I said, the tuition fees are broken down by each program on their program page on the website. So just go to the particular program that you're interested in. This person was asking about the tuition cost, and go to that link. And one of the tabs within the program does say tuition and fees, and you can see the breakdown there. That once again, the Web Advisor schedule, and I know it's ugly a little bit. It's hard to process right away. Obviously, we're used to seeing it, so it's a little easier for us. But like I said, suggested kind of like print that off and then manually write those classes. Go one class by each, put them into a calendar, or type them into your Outlook or whatever method you use for your emails, perhaps, or your calendar on your phone, and it'll be a lot clearer to see how your schedule works.
Transportation again.
Yeah, she just shared the link to that same transportation hub. Does have transportation that goes from Charlottetown, Summerside, Charlottetown, Georgetown, with some really good rates. The province has really invested in the transit system in terms of the communities. I believe like Charlottetown, Georgetown is like $2 each way now, and it's quite a long haul, so it's a really good price. So keep that link that Laura shared will be beneficial for you to see that. And those funded routes are great for students that maybe couldn't find accommodations close or wanted to stay in a bigger area instead of a smaller community. So that's great. Yeah,
student
parking. Yeah, I can go ahead.
Sure. We're fighting over it. There is parking available on all of our campuses. I'm not sure what campus you're on, Andrew. But depending on the campus you're on, you might not need a parking pass. If you're studying at the Prince of Wales campus in Charlottetown, that's the main campus, you would need to purchase a parking pass. There's typically kind of they give some leeway time for about the month of September to make sure all students can get their passes. So you don't have to worry about purchasing one ahead of time to have it for the first day. You'd be given the opportunity to do that sometime in September. So yeah, your instructors, I believe, kind of take care of that the first week of classes. So you'd be given the opportunity to purchase that then.
It gets brought right to your class too. It gets sent to you so they can hand it to you. So yeah, you don't have to worry too much in those first few days for sure, probably a month. Dental services, so you, like I said earlier, the student union takes care of a health plan. That plan does have dental services included. So once you start your classes is when the plan kicks in. So you should attend the session that they're putting on to find out more about what coverage they have. It's really good coverage across the board for most services. And you could go to a local dentist office here. We do have a dental assistant program, obviously, but they don't do that, all of that work here on site. There is kind of a couple of times a year where they have a little open to some people, books up really fast. but you do have great coverage with the student union health plan, so don't worry about that.
If somebody has doubts about the music performance program, I am the advisor for that program. So you can just send me an email directly, to just kind of just express questions you have. I'm just going to reply to the message here with my direct email address. I am out of the office after today for a week or so. But yeah, any questions that you have, email myself directly or just recruitment@hollandcollege.com, and we'll make sure that somebody gets back to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And just a side note here, it's 4:15. We do have a kind of a hard stop at 4:30 because I know we could go on forever. So we just want to keep these to a full hour. If your question doesn't get answered somehow, obviously the chat stays here, so you can go back and find some of the responses in the chat. You can read those. Recruitment@hollandcollege.com, and we can answer the questions afterwards. Make sure you note, hey, I was attending the virtual session today. I was curious about something I don't think got answered. So just a heads up that we will kind of be stopping at 4:30. So the next person was asking about dorms, so on campus accommodations. Explain the process of applying for. So if you haven't already applied for a room in our accommodations on campus, it is currently full. There is a wait list, and I'm assuming based on your question, you haven't applied. You still can, but like I said, it's a pretty good wait list right now for our rooms. You can reach out to the residence office. Laura did put in the link, the off-campus residence options. Near that link is also the on-campus. You can see how you apply. You can also reach out to the residence manager and just ask a general question if you just have kind of some questions there, but it may be too late for an on-campus residence just because of that.
Yeah, I did just send the link there for our living and residence page on our website. But yeah, I've been encouraging accepted students that haven't applied to residence yet to essentially start looking for off-campus accommodations.
Yeah.
Just at this point, I think the wait list at this point might just be a little too long to start applying. So it might be in your best interest to start looking off-campus for housing.
I see Bimal kind of responded to a question about getting accommodations from overseas. So if the issue is just that they're not sure that you're kind of a real person or you're actually coming, use your Holland College acceptance letter to confirm that you're coming to Holland College when looking for accommodations from overseas. Reach out to your advisor if you want them to kind of confirm that the accommodation is a real place, and we can help with that. We can also provide a letter like second to your acceptance letter to say, you are attending Holland College this fall. Here's the date frame, so that the person that is providing the accommodations feels more comfortable giving that to you. So your advisor or our recruitment email can really help you get through that process as much as we can. Obviously, we can't go out there and actually sign the paperwork for you, but we can perhaps put the renters' minds at ease with some documentation to confirm that you're an incoming student to the college. Class schedule, that is on your web advisor. So if you've already registered for your classes, it's within your web advisor to see your class schedule. Again, your advisor that you've been connecting with, who's been emailing you personally, email them. That's what they're there for. They will let you know where to find it if you're having problems. I mentioned the fees just not long ago, so you should be able to find that. I just noted we can be connected for kind of anyone looking for accommodations. In terms of someone maybe not responding, whatever it might be, feel free to connect us in. We can just kind of confirm you're a student coming to the college by just giving them some information. I mentioned study permit delays earlier. If you haven't heard from, IRCC in terms of a response, within late August, you should think of letting us know. We do have to cancel your seat. You cannot start your program late. So please keep us informed. Your advisor or the recruitment email or admissions at Holland College, which I'm sure you've all had communications from at one point or another. Let us know, please.
I see a question here. It's a good question. I don't think it's been answered yet. About somebody that has been accepted to residence. I just pulled up an email from the accommodations manager. The move-in date is September the 2nd. So once September the 2nd rolls around, you can officially move into residence. I don't know what date that falls on. Typically it's over a weekend, but September 2nd is when you can move into residence.
Great question. We've been dealing with a lot of like PEI pass and pre-travel approval over the past few years because of COVID. Currently, there are none of those in place. So right now, there's none of those happening right now to get into Prince Edward Island. We did by mistake have some information that pointed to that on the orientation page. It's gone now. It was from last year, unfortunately. But right now, there's no PEI pass requirement. There's no border check or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about that at this time. It says maximum number of, okay, so just a technical question there about Web Advisor. Can you screenshot that? Someone was saying they have a maximum number of cookies when they try to log into their Web Advisor. You may need to clear your browser as well. I'm thinking might be something that has to be done, but if it still happens, can you screenshot that and send it to our recruitment at Holland College email so that we can pass it on to the appropriate person and see if there's an issue with your account specifically? Health insurance question, international students. This is great. I see Alfredo is asking that question. We mentioned that the student union will be putting on a session August 17th to talk about health insurance. It is a very strong health insurance plan, both for international students and domestic. International does pay a little more, and that's to ensure that you have access to our provincial health services as well. But once you arrive here and you have your social insurance number, you are going to be eligible to apply for a PEI health card, which will allow you to actually request a refund of the international health side, as long as you do it before the end of September, so within the first 30 days. August 17th, the session that's happening here, our summer series virtual session, the student union member that takes care of the health insurance will be there to provide all those answers. But it is a very robust health plan, so you should feel rest assured that you don't need anything else in terms of being here. Travel is a different scenario. While traveling, you may want some insurances for coverage on your luggage or plane delays. That's separate, but when you're here, not to worry.
Daniel asked a question if there is a hockey team he could join in the Summerside campus. Holland College doesn't have a men's hockey team. There is a women's club team. But I mean, that doesn't mean that there's like a league or a team within the community in Summerside that you could join. So you might have to just look for opportunities outside of Holland College. But I know that there's lots of students that move here that from off island that end up playing sports in the community. So yeah, just once you get settled in Summerside, that might be something that you can look into a little further.
Yeah. And I just shared a link just to the Holland College Hurricanes athletics to see all the sports that we have, because one of the next questions was, do we have a basketball team? So I shared that link. You can go ahead and see the club teams and the competitive teams that we have, and to see when they're holding tryouts, if they are or not holding tryouts, and you can see how that operates. So you can take a look at that link. Public transit, there is a link on this feed, this chat that Laura shared, that shares to you the options to travel from Chatlottown to Summerside. If you haven't found your accommodations yet, I would suggest you do find them in the location where your campus is. It does save you a lot of time in travel, right? And waiting for public transit. So. Someone's mentioning, the accommodation scarcity in PEI. Please let us know if you're having any issues finding it. Most of our students are finding accommodations. I see there's a few that were having some issues because they were from overseas. We can help in any way we can. There is a lot of accommodations going up now. They're trying to kind of backfill that. I don't think we're in the same situation as some other places. And the city of Charlottetown itself has come into a better place than it was even 4 years ago. We were at almost a 0% vacancy rate, and we've kind of come out of that, which is great. But like I said, we can try to help you in any way if it's because of the place that you're kind of emailing from or calling from and the accommodations person is not feeling comfortable, we can try to help that. We're just running low on time here. I'm going to try to get through them. Great question. Someone obviously maybe is going to be new to snowstorms. It's a great question. It's kind of interesting. So someone that may not have lived in a cold climate, classes do get canceled if there is a snowstorm. But we do inform students through email, through radio, through the website. So if there is weather and you look outside, you're like, this is kind of messy, check your email, check the website, and you can see if classes on which campus may be canceled.
Somebody asked about if there's a free gym on the campus. Technically, it's not free because the cost was included in your tuition. But as a student at the college, you do have access to our fitness facilities. So technically, I guess, kind of free in a way. But yeah, you have complete access to the gym areas on campus as a student.
Your Holl Pass does not get you on the public transit for bus, but there is a student rate for bus fee for monthly. So it's not included in your fees at the college to access the public transit. But because you have a student ID, your Holl Pass, you can get a discounted student rate through the transit system. I mean, I see someone asking about the program is in Georgetown. Would it be convenient to live in Charlottetown while the program is in Georgetown? There is the new transit system, but you would have to go on their schedule. It's a morning and an afternoon. It's a good price. I think it's $2 each way, which is not bad at all. But you're stuck to that schedule, right? A taxi would be very expensive. So if you could find some accommodations closer to your campus, that's ideal. But just make sure you're well aware of the transit schedule if you are going to stay in Charlottetown, knowing that you're traveling to Georgetown every day, because you have to stick to that and kind of have to live by that schedule. So just be aware of that.
Registration for classes starting in January. They're not open yet. It should be opening relatively soon. Within the next few weeks to a month. Just keep an eye out on the email that you have associated with your dashboard account, and information about registration would be sent to you once it is open. Another question about tuition.
Yeah, and that can be found on your program page on the website. So we mentioned that a few times. I think the same student is still asking about that music performance. I think it's the same student. So Laura is your person for that program. So please, if you have a question or a doubt about your program, reach out to her.
Yes, that was the same student. I did pop my email somewhere in the chat.
Oh yeah, I see. It's the next question. That's great. Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You talked about registration in January. I think we're starting to get some rollover questions here, which is great. Jocelyn, we mentioned this earlier about adding family to your health plan. That is the student union. Their email is in this chat. You can ask to have a family health plan. It is a little bit more cost that, and they'll give you that cost. August 17th, the next virtual session, we will send information out for it. You could attend that to get more info on it, but student union will be able to add a family to that, your husband or whoever it may be. We're almost wrapping up here, so we'll just breeze through. If you see any that we haven't answered yet, Laura, let's try to jump on them.
Sure. I think you mentioned the PEI or the pre-approval.
Yeah, there's just no require. Yeah, no require for that. Yeah.
Anymore.
Move-in date for APA programs. You will be informed about that move-in date for you. If you have a program at APA, keep an eye from the email from them. They will let you know when all of those dates are coming in.
I seen a question about possible part-time job opportunities, maybe, or available jobs as a student. We have an advisor on staff, and it's her job to assist students in finding jobs and employment. I'm including the link to their page. It's the Office of Retention, Part-Time Study and Career Services. So reach out to her. Her name is Haley. She's fantastic. So if you're looking for a job while you're a student here, she'd be the best person to reach out to.
we talked about fitness center a few times. There is a fitness center at the Summerside campus, by the way, so there is some facilities there. It's fairly new. We just got it added in the past couple of years. Yeah, someone's asking about payments through TransferMate. It's due by the first day of your class in terms of that first installment, but you can pay amounts 1,000. Yeah, someone mentioned, can I pay 1,000 now and 2,500 the next week? Yeah, you can pay those amounts as long as the first semester tuition installment is paid by that date. That's no problem. Even if it comes in, and that's totally fine. Continue to do that. That's perfect.
This is a good question. I know this hasn't been touched on, but somebody's asking what classroom to go to on the first day of school. On September the 6th, you are going to see Holland College staff at every doorway, I believe, that exists on campus. We'll be asking you what program you're in, and we'll take you right to the program area. So you don't have to worry about getting lost, feeling flustered, or anything like that. Pretty well all staff are on deck that morning, and like I said, we'll be able to get you to your program area, no problem.
Yeah, and some of those on the orientation page that I shared earlier, some of those write-ups for each program, the program information, some of them explain where they'd like you to go on that first day. We know where the general vicinity is of those classrooms are, so those staff members that are at each entryway will help you get there. But some of those information sheets there will tell you exactly where to go, so that's great. So, well, I think we got fairly caught up, and we apologize if we missed any questions. Email, maybe just throw in recruitment@hollandcollege.com once more there, Laura. Our advisors can hopefully get back to you as soon as we can and get that information for you. And the next session is August 3rd. On the list for the virtual session, it does say us again, but we're actually going to put in, that's going to be the library services because they just joined in last. So the next session is on August 3rd, and it's going to be the library services, and they're going to inform you how to access their services. And, there's a lot of stuff that you don't realize that they have there for you to access, not only books, but online services. And they put on a lot of sessions. They're really great for putting on a session. So I suggest you attend that. You'll get some information via email from us on how to attend that session. It'll be through Teams again. And we appreciate everyone coming and spending the time with us. And that hour went by very fast.
It went by very quickly. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help the students, get comfortable for their first day of classes. So any questions you have between now and September the 6th, just send an email to recruitment@hollandcollege.com, and we'll make sure we get everybody straightened out for the start of the school year.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.